Welcome, everyone. I'm Liz Taylor, ocean explorer, naturalist, and entrepreneur.
I'm Sylvia Earle, explorer in residence, National Geographic, an ocean elder and founder of Mission Blue. Mission Blue, Blue, Blue.
This is our show, Dive In, where we host an informal and open conversation with the ocean community from all around the world on topics of wonder and interest. Before we get started, just a bit of housekeeping. There's many attendees from all around the world who like to join us for these conversations. You can ask us questions via the text. Just write it in the Q&A box, and later on in the program we'll get to those and answer as many as we can. And please note that throughout the conversation we're going to be adding links in the chat box for you. And before we get going here, we want to remind everyone that
the world is
blue.
Blue. Good for us. Good
That's
for
right.
all of life
Good
on
for all
Earth.
of us. So today we're continuing SHARKTOBER. I have my Saving Shayu Shark Gator today.
Oh, and I have my mask.
Oh yeah. It's important to wear a mask right now. But we're going to be having the conversations all this month with the people about sharks and the people who study them. And today we're going to be joined by, oh, come on here. Oh, diving in.
Diving in.
Dive
Yes,
in.
I got to dive in.
We're going to be joined by Michael Ah.
Who took that photograph in the Arctic in 2015, celebrating my birthday.
That's right. And Alex Rose.
Who is also there celebrating the Arctic and all of the wonderful creatures who live there.
So Michael and Alex, if you can both turn your video
Oh,
and
back,
audio.
Michael.
There's
Come
Alex.
back.
Michael will join us in a couple minutes.
Yay, there he
There
is.
he is. Great. Thank you.
Morning.
Oh.
So, Michael's an acclaimed photographer, and he's director of Ocean Geographic, a beautiful and informative publication, and author of 37 books, and winner of more than 67 photographic awards.
But who's counting?
And that's right. And he's joining us today from Australia. So good morning there in Australia Friday morning.
Are you awake, Michael?
Morning. I'm awake. I'm here.
How many
And
coffees
Alex-
have you had?
One.
Alex is joining us
Not
from
enough.
Chicago.
Hello.
She's the science editor for Ocean Geographic, a photographer in her own right, and professional violinist, and founder of Blue Ring.
I think we should add that the four of us are a brain trust working on Deep Hope.
That's true.
Yes.
We got to get our little submarines built so that we can do what? Go deep.
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 Yes, we've had the pleasure of working with Alex and Michael over the years, and we've also seen a lot of sharks along the way. I hope to see a lot more. We've talked a lot about the trip that you guys had in Cuba a few years ago, visiting the Garden of the Queens.
This is one of Michael's amazing images. The sharks are so friendly there. People ask me sometimes, where is your favorite place to go diving? And my stock answer is almost anywhere 50 years ago. And have to say that the Garden of the Queens is such a place. It's like 50 years ago.
And marine protection really works there. So have you noticed, Alex and Michael, when you're diving a place like Cuba, where not a lot of divers go, is there a real difference in the way that the sharks interact with divers as compared to some place that's more heavily traveled?
First of all, they're sharks. There are sharks.
Yeah, that
are
is the
sharks. That's a
start.
big-
There are
that's a big
sharks
plus,
on
yeah.
every dive, which is not that common. Well, Michael spent more time in Cuba and probably in a wider variety of sharky places. So I'm going to let you start. But yeah, I would imagine the behavior of the sharks in Cuba is a bit different. They're fairly friendly with people. I mean, you can be extremely close to them, which is always a plus for photographers. Might not be a plus for your everyday person, but it is a good thing.
Yeah.
They get fairly close. What do you think, Michael?
Well, when I first went to Cuba was in way back in 2013. I'm very surprised the number of sharks in many of the sites that we dive. Um, it seems that it's just like going. I always say equate to the Galapagos because they're not hunted down there and they are so used to being free around, divers. So they do come very close, and it's very very different compared to other places. So and there's also the abundance of them. On every reef we dive. So yeah, you can see that they're curious and they sort of say want to check you out. Whereas other places we really need a lot of baits to bring them in. Here in Cuba, virtually when they see us, they just come very close and check you out and able to interact with them very 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 easily.
Looks like this one is checking you out, Michael.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
The silkies are very nosy.
They're very, very, very curious, aren't they?
They really are. Yeah, they get surprisingly close. Yeah, which is great.
Look at those beauties.
Oh,
They're just so pretty. It's a gorgeous shark.
They
They're
really-
actually my favorite shark.
Yeah.
But I just love them. And it's so unique to see sharks they group together like that. I mean, they're generally, obviously, there are some that school, but in general, such solitary animals. And to see a whole group of silkies like that, I mean, at the surface, you'll sometimes get 10, 15 of them at once. It's really quite a sight. So, yeah,
this
they're
is
great.
actually quite unique. It's in the open oceans, and especially in the evening, that's where they're feeding time, and we're able to get them near the surface. Obviously, they're there looking for food. And one thing about Cuba is that they're predictable. You can go to this same site every day of the year. You'll know that the sharks are there hanging around. They're more or less, whereas mainly, silkies are mainly open water sharks, but here we're able to find them very, very easily. There's a difference there, yes.
They come in nice and close like this.
eyes just so beautiful.
Yeah, they're just like jewels.
They're a gorgeous shark. Yeah, silkies are too nice.
Oh, wow.
Nice
Oh,
looking one. Yeah.
That is actually a great great reef sharks, yeah. And here is actually in a bit of hunting mode down there. No food is being used here at all. There's fish in the evening. They're hunting, hide between sleeping among the corals, and the shark come in and they start to feed and trying to look for the prey in the early evening.
So this is Fakarava, yeah?
It's Fakarawa, exactly.
Yeah.
And he was sort of kind of shocked when he see me with a camera next to the coral mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
So elegant.
Okay,
Oh.
this is a surprise.
Oh, what is this?
Pseudo shark.
This is not obviously this is not a shark, but there's another big creature of Cuba that we just had to put in here and
Oh, thanks.
and
In Australia, they say you don't have to worry about the sharks because the crocs have eaten them all.
that's right, exactly. But it's another one of the really iconic toothy creatures that is in this region. And
Sure.
Michael, you're really known for working in the sort of in the blackwater diving environment,
Among other places.
among other places. But
Yeah.
but Sylvia couldn't resist me queuing up a few images to really show some of these amazing blackwater shots
All
that you've
right.
taken.
Not a
and-
shark.
Not sharks, but she just had to show these to see that these are some of the animals that are out there
Down there.
Look
at that.
Oh, my favorite. My favorite.
But but the sharks are out here too. This is a surprise.
They're just
but
hanging
then-
out over your shoulder watching you shoot blackwater images.
Right, and so the question,
The sharks are there.
was,
Believe me, they are cute. They are somewhere. I mean, they are there. We just don't see them, and they don't show themselves. But sometimes they do during blackwater dive. They come up from beneath you because blackwater dive usually conducted over very deep water, from anything from 1,000 meters to 1,000 feet to 2-3 kilometers deep. So they can come from beneath you, and then they come in and they bump your fins, and then they say, "Oh, this is not food," and they just swim away. But they're there for sure. They're there. They see us. We don't see them. That's it.
It's a really, some people are very disconcerted about that. They're night diving or blackwater diving, and they're really worried, like, where's the shark? And we're going to feel this conical snout,
His conical teeth.
but this conical teeth. But you're really right. We're not really on their menu, so they
No.
are
just
very
look
curious.
down, look down. You'll come from beneath you and then come and check you out. Just look down all the time.
Yeah.
So Michael and Alex, I'd really like to do a program about blackwater diving and
We love
Sure.
that.
show some of those amazing images and linger long enough for you to,
Give us some good detail on them.
talk about what an octopus actually is. I mean, we have this preconceived idea of what an octopus should look like, something like this.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I mean, it's a very cute one.
Yes. It is.
So
But those images, about half of them were variations on the theme of cephalopods.
Hmm.
And who knew until we actually took ourselves to where they live, and that's what you're doing, but with a skill to document. I can see it in my mind's eye, but both of you have this remarkable ability to capture the images and then share them. It's great.
And we know that sharks are especially sensitive to sound and to smell.
And they like
Uh,
those flippers too.
Yeah, they like bicolored flippers, but
That's right. They particularly like the yellow and orange combo. That's why he wears it.
Orange for the right foot, yellow for the left.
Got it.
but how do the sharks really react? Being so sensitive environmentally, do they react in any particular way to the cameras and the lighting methods?
It varies
Strobes.
from species
Yeah.
to species, and some react more than the other. Mainly because, especially with like treasure sharks, you just could not use a flash at all, because once you flashed, you're just gone in a second.
Yeah, and those eyes
And
are so big.
Nowadays, when they use the photographers, then they'll start ignore it. But generally in new locations, we would be very careful, because you only get one chance once you use a flash. So yeah, but once you get acquainted to presence of divers and photographers, gradually they sort of accept you being there. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, you'll definitely notice. Well, when your batteries recycle on your strobes, you can barely hear it. You'll hear just like this little high pitch squeak noise, and it's not very noticeable to us. But when sharks are close to strobes, they do definitely seem to react to the recycling, not so much to the flash, but to the actual recycling. And I don't know if it's just that little recharge moment that seems to make them curious, but they'll definitely come up and bump their snoots into the strobes and kind of see what they are. Never
maybe-
had one grab one, but they definitely are kind of honed in on that one spot. Like, what is that?
So a little bit of that, like a little electrical.
Definitely, yeah, because you can hear it. Yeah,
Yeah, and it tracks down. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it's also
Next time they do take a nip on your stroke. Just
just take a little nibble.
the electrical field may have something to do with it, but the sound, some crafty dive masters will take a plastic bottle and just crinkle it
Hmm.
underwater,
Yeah.
and it creates a squeaky sound. And I think
Yes.
the sharks are really curious. They'll come over to check it out.
Yeah, I've definitely seen quite a few people do that in Guadalupe with the great whites. They'll go down, especially now that they don't chum as much, and they go down with the plastic bottles and make noise. So
Man.
yeah, it's fun. All the little tricks of the trade, I guess.
Yeah. Here it looks like we've got a diver with a very small camera approaching
Yeah,
a very large
yeah.
shark.
Little GoPro, come
Little
here. But yeah, I mean, you see how friendly the sharks are in Cuba. I mean, and this is just coming up from a dive. This is just how many there are in the water, and it's such a unique thing to be able to see. It's just, most waters are not so obviously sharky, and that does make it a really wonderful place.
Do you have some? I mean, like you're saying, it's a lot based on different whatever species you're really trying to photograph. Are there certain types of cameras that you really prefer to use when working around sharks? Is it just?
I think we both use our standard, but yeah.
The go-to lens is always especially for sharks in a new location, is a 16 to 35. So this way you can expect when they come close, you can use a 16. When they stay further away, you have it zoom all the way up to I mean, it's all the way into 35 to to bring them in closer. That's a
Mm-hmm.
go-to lens. Once you know them, then you could use a standard wide angle lens, and because you can get pretty close. Yeah.
Especially with those silkies, they'll definitely be in your face. You'll need the wide.
Use the biggest lens, widest lens possible, because they will come very close. Yeah.
Right.
Yep, for sure. So yeah, it does definitely depend on the shark species, but yeah, if you know they're going to be a nosier one anyway, might as well go with the wide.
Yeah. With the full smile, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, here you are.
It's always fun.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
so this was pretty cool. So on our last trip to Cuba, which was February 2019, we had a free diver with us, Jessie Liu. She lives in Hawaii, but came to Cuba with us. And so this coral, or this sponge, is at a dive site that's in 96 feet of water, and this is her free diving to 96 feet, and was down here for a couple minutes with us like it was nothing at all. It's so crazy to me, but it's amazing to have somebody with that kind of skill accompany you on a trip like this. So, and it's kind of nice to have two of us, because Michael was shooting her with the sharks in front of her, and then I was shooting Michael, so you kind of get the whole perspective of what's going on here. I'm sure there was a shark or a grouper hanging out behind me, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But
it's
neat.
waiting for the coming to frame. I sort of have I want the grouper on top of the spick barrel sponge. So I'm just preparing her to come into frame, and then before I shoot, So I like to sit next to me.
Yeah,
she's my wingman, wing woman.
That's right. That's right.
That's what your friend David Duboulet calls making a picture.
Right.
Instead of just taking a picture, you set it up, you wait for the moment, and then you go bang.
Yeah,
you get it.
That's right.
Yep. They're both so important, because just taking a picture is great for being able to document the changes in biodiversity, documenting loss over time or improvement over time if it's in a protected area, and then making of the images has that potential to really change the way that people
it's the art
of it, really changing the way that people feel about a particular species and compelling them to care.
For sure. No, it's good. It's good to have a whole range of images that tell all different parts of the story, for sure.
There we go get her.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a different dive site, a little bit more shallow. I think this is only about 35, 40 feet of water, but you can see how healthy and dense the reefs are. They're just beautiful there. It's so nice. But yeah, they're everywhere.
Shark coming in
on your fin.
He's looking for
that guy's back again.
It's a shark you don't see that you should be worried about.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the ones you don't see.
Exactly.
But yeah, the coral cover is just so dense there. It's so nice.
Yeah.
And then this one's from Guadalupe. You get some nice light there, and this is, well, in my opinion, definitely the best place to for sure see great whites and get really good shots. The water is just gorgeous, always blue, always fairly clear, and pretty warm. A lot easier conditions than South Africa, that's for sure, or Australia. And it's a sure thing. Like, if you go, you will see sharks.
Yeah.
And they're great.
Farallons.
And farallons.
Yeah, farallons.
We have not known a single trip to Guadalupe where people don't see sharks. Usually on the first day, the sharks will be there.
They're always there. I know, it's always funny waiting to get in the water, because when people haven't been before, they're like, do you think we're going to see sharks today? I'm like, oh, we're going to see sharks today. Don't worry. As soon as they put that cage in the water, give it an hour.
Yeah. And this is an area where so it's primarily the cage diving that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have somewhere in here, we've got a little, look at this guy.
Nice.
I think we have this clip. Here we go.
Here we go.
Right.
Oh yeah, sometimes Michael tosses me underwater with a violin.
Somebody just bashed the cage.
Gorgeous.
Wow. Weren't you even a little bit cold?
Yes, I was a lot bit cold. Because while the water is fairly warm compared to other places that you can see great whites, it's still not that warm if you're not in a wetsuit. I think it was 70, maybe 69 or 70.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you get cool.
What happened to your violin
in
after
the
the dive?
70s, I'd say.
Well, that
Yeah.
one was definitely specifically for this. And I found it online for really cheap. And I was like, okay, this is going to be our prop violin. That's good.
Yeah.
So brought it with me, but it actually did not fall apart. We dried it out on the way back to shore, and it was still in one piece. So I just left it on the boat and said, you guys can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah. Well, I just love it. You know, it's really combining this way of shifting the perception. You know, pulling the art and the art of photography, the animals together in ways that, and Michael, you've been doing a lot of this work with a number of different swimmers and different perspectives.
That's right.
Can you tell us about this series that we're seeing here?
Well, when I work with models, usually I always have them, include the environment, and especially with sharks, I like to see the focus mainly on the sharks. But this instance is a designer from New York, and he's Ryan, and he actually designed these beautiful dresses. And also Jessie is a prominent free diver. She lived in Hawaii, but she's very famous in China. Mm-hmm. So the idea is to use her as a to convey the message that it's okay to be in the water with a beautiful dress and to be among sharks. So here we put them together, but and she's easy to work, very easy to work with, and
she's so talented.
But the problem with is the shark coming close to her. We cannot really use food because she cannot see.
She looks pretty tasty.
Yeah.
Very difficult to work with, and the hardest thing to do is to bring the shark close, and it's always a challenge. And here, because no doubt she's very good, she will hold her breath very well, but the sharks don't really cooperate.
Yeah.
No, a lot of times.
Coming now, move out now. We can't tell them the sharks determine the shoot. They're the boss here.
Yes, definitely.
Next one. I think that's no. There's a video.
Here we go.
There we go. Yeah, so you can kind of see this whole process. But yeah, the dress is amazing. So it's actually all hand painted silk by the designer, and I always thought it looked like a Spanish dancer nudie.
Yeah,
it totally looks like a Spanish dancer. I love it.
Worn underwater.
Yeah.
Just beautiful.
So we did several shoots, just for we had a success of maybe 2 or 3 frames because when the shark come really close next to her. Yeah. But otherwise, it is a challenge. It's very hard to get them to come close. Very difficult.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Have to be in place, like align stars and the moons, and then you have to work.
Yeah.
And it totally would not work if you didn't have a really talented free diver, because I think she's won quite a few awards.
Safety divers as well.
The safety divers, exactly. We had two other people kind of waiting. One that was just in charge of her air, and then Noelle, who you both know from Cuba, over to Michael's right, just kind of in case anything else happens. And Jessie, I think, has a static breath hold of 8 minutes and 12 seconds.
Wow.
So that's insane, first of all. And then to have someone who basically doesn't breathe is really helpful.
Yeah. She may have gills.
I think she does. They're in there somewhere.
The other challenging thing is keeping your eyes open.
Yeah. I don't know how. Yeah, the seawater can be very, irritating, caustic. Yeah.
Yeah. After a while, it certainly can be. Yeah, it must be tough.
And then then there's these kinds of shots that are kind of
love that. Yeah.
Again, just really conveying the grace and the beauty of animal that so many people just see as like a man eater.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially in the evening, have free divers in the water with them, and know that they're not, in the open ocean. It's always a challenge in a lot of places to put diver next to sharks.
Yeah.
But here in Cuba, it's really not a problem, but still, working in this environment, you need shark to cooperate with you.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love this shot because there's so many curves to it. Like you've got that nice Snell's window coming through the top, and then all the sharks are curved in, and the free diver's curved, and it just, it all fits together very nicely. I love this shot.
Circles and spheres are very good underwater.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it looks very good. Yeah.
It's a wonderful image.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you.
Ah, it's so cool too.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's one of your earlier Cuba trips. Slightly.
That's
a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
And you got the circle of
you have them coming close to where you want to place them. So here I will place the mortar first and let the shark go back to what they want to do.
Yeah.
And so here we are fortunate that they come on this, around this barrel sponge. They go around in circles, but you have to wait for the moment to get the shots. Yeah.
That's my favorite dive site in Cuba.
She doesn't breathe. You have to, really hold her breath to make sure, because once you breathe, the shark will go away.
Yeah.
Not a fan of the bubbles.
No, you just have to. Yeah, I mean,
they're picturesque, but they're
picturesque. But I think that again, they're such a sensitive animal that they do get startled and fearful sometimes.
You talking about the diver or
no? The shark. Divers don't care,
That's funny.
And this is another series that you did, Michael, really trying to help.
It is. The Heidi, she's from actress from Hong Kong, and again, I did a video called Facing Grace, and this is what she had to endure, being at the bottom, sitting down with the water is also in the low 70s.
Ooh,
then she's with a dress. And then having bring all the sharks in, and at the same time trying to capture a shot that's clean, relatively clean.
Yeah.
Again, the sharks determine the shoot.
This is not green. This is not green screen. This is the real deal.
Real deal. Exactly.
That's right. Blue screen.
Blue, exactly.
But again, bringing these sort of really disparate elements together in ways that people don't really think of anybody wearing a dress underwater, or sort of willingly being just kind of hanging out there looking calm and serene while being surrounded by sharks. And it really does help to de-demonize them, I think.
This behind the scene picture is very important because I was asked so many times, it's actually green screen. You do it in Photoshop.
Yeah, and people
you would think so.
In the real environment, which is actually there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's beautiful.
This is an exceptional image right here. It's no wonder it's on the cover of your Ocean Geographic.
I think it's one of our best covers. I love this one. Yeah.
Here you see she's actually in the water. You can see the bubbles coming out.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, this is a time when actually having bubbles was useful, so people know it is actually underwater.
Yeah. Right. And then, just really being able to bring these stories out and bring them home.
This is magic.
Yeah.
It's sheer magic.
This is a tough one because I was trying so hard. I was doing a big ass. I said, I want the sharks to be right in the center of the little glass board he's holding.
Make it so.
Right.
Sailing, we hold the board there steady. And the shark has to swim past an exact angle to be able to encapsulate the shark inside this glass ball. Very close to the entire shark's inside that ball she's holding.
Oh.
Took a while.
Michael, how many shots do you think you took to get that one?
I don't know.
You're like, talk to the memory card. I don't even know.
And you try talking shark, come through now. She's here waiting for you, and you can pray to them and talk to them in your heart and say, come through now, come at this angle. You're gonna come at her from the right to the left to the right. You have the shark face in your face. It's a big ass.
It is.
If the shark comes away, it doesn't work. Because if the shark this way to look at the face, that works, and come at this particular level, you can see the sharks inside the ball.
Yeah.
And then for someone to look so natural and comfortable
Oh,
underwater, like it's a lot of elements to come together
Yeah.
for
It's
sure.
a miracle.
It
Yeah.
really is a miracle. Although I think, in this image, you can probably, she's got a little bit of that look of Michael.
I'm going to need my regulator soon.
She's gritting her teeth.
She's gritting her,
Even though she smiles.
Probably.
yeah. It's the same way that shark smiles, right? He's just kind of like,
Right.
Yeah. And she can't see the animal. She cannot see it all.
Oh, yeah, it's too blurry. Yeah,
Yeah.
can't see that. Ugh.
Such a beautiful shot.
She had to really trust you.
And then, bringing the whole thing home into the, broader kind of a campaign.
Oh, the tiger shark. Look at that.
This is a gorgeous tiger shark, and then
Gorgeous diver.
yeah, gorgeous swimmer.
Mermaid.
Yeah. But it's so important, you can be able to bring images like this that really capture the imagination of people, but at the same time sending a powerful message, and bringing it into this whole campaign of not killing these animals for their fins,
Or just not killing them, period.
killing them, period. Right.
Yeah, that would
Tiger
be
sharks are
preferable.
not one of the top three, so to lack of a better word, dangerous sharks because of the number of incidents out there. And here the idea is to put a human being right next to a tiger sharks, and he will just casually swim past in this sense, and that's where it's got a message out to reduce the consumption of shark fins in Singapore, China, Hong Kong. This the battleground that we have to encourage people to reduce or stop the consumption of shark fins.
Mm-hmm.
And with a picture like this, we make actually a big war-size print of this in Singapore, and still a lot of curiosities that it's okay to be next to a tiger, it's not going to eat you, and the magnificence of this animal that we should really leave them in the ocean, and that's what this picture is all about.
Yeah.
No, it's a creative, friendly way to get people to think differently.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I think it's sheer genius. Really takes that combination, though, of understanding the ocean, understanding the animals, and getting all of it together, again, with a willing freediver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep our eyes open.
Yeah.
We've not done this before, and we have not done this before, and to place divers without masks and fins, without tanks, and especially in his shiny tail. No idea how the shark's going to react, but it's always the first time.
That's right.
And hopefully not a last.
Exactly. So
That's funny. This is Tiger
We
Beach.
need
Yeah.
safety divers around, and don't try this, unless you work with people that know what they're doing.
yeah, definitely. This is that ability to create the picture that can really help drive very positive change.
And she's got green fingernail polish.
Oh yeah,
all the way.
everything matches.
Yeah, so everything has to match. Come on
Of
now.
course.
All the details. All
Has
the
to match my
details.
tail.
Last detail.
Yeah, all
Last-
those little details.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh,
This guy, yeah.
That
This
was
is
so many
Bahamas
years-
too. Yeah, Michael.
quite a few years ago, many years ago,
Yeah.
with my daughter and my friend,
Oh.
doing the shark fins,
With their little.
Yeah,
It's so cute.
yeah.
Well, it really is really about engaging kids in this whole effort. The sharks are so fundamental to the health of the ocean, and without the healthy ocean, it's really not a healthy planet for us. So
that's for sure.
Exactly.
getting the kids
Making those
engaged,
connections.
making
They-
those connections
the
for
kids
kids.
get it. The kids get it right away. You
Yeah.
just have to get the kids to teach the grown-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that a lot in one of our webinars. One guy who spoke with us, Dr. Andy Cornish, really is specialized in the trade in China and Hong Kong. And he was saying that there's this sector, like a 12 to 14% sector, that's older people who just cannot have their minds changed no matter what. Like they eat shark fin soup, that's what they've always eaten, that's what they want to do. And the only way you can possibly get to them is through their grandkids.
Right.
And It's true. I mean, like that's it. I can't imagine convincing an old crotchety person who does not want to change by doing anything other than having their grandkid talk to them. And
Right.
it's the best way, just engaging young people and children.
Yeah. I mean, they really do get it. It's, it's their future.
Yeah, exactly. And I love this. Well, Michael, this is Mock, right? This is Mock Waiho.
Yes, Mark with Jessica.
He's also a fantastic underwater photographer. The guy who's in the tux.
Yeah.
He's also a great photographer.
Jesse is 2008 Miss Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
So this campaign is created for the Singapore audience because she's a familiar face in Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a mock session with champagnes and mock in the water with sharks around them, and basically it's like, it's okay to be in the water, plenty of sharks around you, and people recognize that you stand up for our message,
Yeah.
Yeah. And this campaign,
this table from Target, I think, brought this table
a Target table
all the way to the Bahamas, put it in the water, and bring them in and bring the sharks in. Again, it's a shoot that we have. The sharks again determine whether they want to play or not play. So here we have got a shark coming in straight at them, and okay, we got the pictures.
Yeah, that's right.
I love it.
Yeah.
What are you drinking?
Yeah. Bubbles.
Right. That's too funny.
But this is all part of this bigger campaign to really help people understand that sharks are friends.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah. This is if you notice that symbol here is a Chinese symbol for wealth, health, especially this a double joy symbol, meaning in Chinese double joy. So that's usually at a wedding, a marriage, where shark fins are served every time. And we look carefully into this picture itself, the red symbol. You see there's a lot of sharks inside.
Oh,
yeah,
of course.
I
That's
see it.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, they have the shark nose.
And in that bowl, yeah.
It's like one of your photographs.
Whereby we encourage wedding couples to come to us to get this cut from us and place them on at the wedding, on every seat, every table, and they come with a message of why they're not why shark fin soup is not served.
Mm-hmm.
Because you first look at it, just a card, a wedding card, but you look closer, and then you see the sharks in the symbols, and then inside the card there'll be a message explaining why the shark fin soup are not being served that evening during the dinner.
I think
it's very successful in a sense, but it costs us a lot of money because we give these cards away for free.
Yeah.
There's one of the wedding in Kuala Lumpur whereby every seat there'll be these cards, and they bring home to the family and then pass on the message. And then from here, in the next, you're attending the wedding, the next wedding come to us, can we have this card as well?
Yep.
So it works. I think we got away with nearly 300,000-400,000 cards during this series of campaign. Yeah,
that's great.
It's an elegant approach.
It really is. It's not,
instead of punching him in the face. So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
It's good.
We will try to start this campaign.
Yeah.
Then we'll try to start again. It's one of the things we started more than 10 years ago, and it lasted for many years, and it really helped. Yeah. So you start having them to explain why there's no shark fins tonight.
Yeah.
You just cut on it and telling them exactly why they're not serving shark fins. Yeah.
It's no longer cool. That's the goal.
That's right.
Make it no longer.
You want to make it not cool anymore. No.
Yeah, and
I think we're well on our way. It's good. The numbers are good, so that's nice. It's good to hear.
And this nice, this nice
so
smiling shark is such a good one.
I know exactly when this picture was taken and year, and this guy just came, towards me. Very friendly, smiley face of sharks. I mean, he had to see a smile on the face.
It really is a good smile.
It really is.
Many times, and then in my shark campaign through the years, yeah.
He was trying to hide his teeth.
For sure, he's a little shy about his grin. That's right.
There you
go. Cute. No, they're great.
Well, I'm going to switch over here to, we've got a number of questions that have kind of started
Trickled
to come
in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
So let's see what we can get to a few questions here.
Yeah.
So Charles is asking, does each individual shark have its own personality regardless of its species, either when they're alone or in a group?
Yes, I would say so. Especially we get familiar. If we have a chance to be familiar with them, in any location, there's the domineering one, and then this one is the boss. It's pretty the bigger one. Or sometimes the smaller younger sharks are more game to come in. Usually those come in very quickly are the young one because they have less fear. Very similar. Kids have no fear, right?
That's
so
right.
And then
They don't know better yet.
very similar. And even between the young one, they have the different characters. Some are more nibbly and come straight at your face. Some are a bit more cautious. They come close but look at you and they go away. Everyone is character. You just have to look into the eyes to see there's a soul inside that animal.
Yeah.
It does definitely seem like it's easier to pick out their personalities when they are in groups, though. Like when you just see one shark, it kind of melds together a little bit more. But when you've got like a group of silkies or a group of Caribbean reef sharks, like when we go diving with Christina Zanato in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
I mean, they are definitely all different. And I'm sure you notice it more and more the more time you spend with them. And I mean, she's diving with them every single day.
Right.
So she knows every one of them by name immediately. It's amazing. And they definitely all have personalities.
No.
It's so cute and foggy eye and they're great.
Yeah.
I wonder if sharks think the same thing.
The animals with brains, they have the thing,
Yeah.
And many people doesn't think about that, they have a brain. They know what they're doing.
That's right.
Yeah, I do wonder if sharks think the same about divers. I don't know. Maybe we all look the same to sharks.
Got to look out for that one with a red and yellow fin.
Yeah, that's right. It's always flashing. You have to watch that one.
Yeah. What is that with all the he's so
going off all the time.
Going off all the time,
You wonder what they think.
April she says that last month someone I know caught a black-tip reef shark off the Texas coast and it was absolutely heartbreaking. But she was so excited by the catch. What's the strongest point to make when discussing the importance of sharks alive with people who think fishing for them is okay?
I try to convey the do unto sharks as you would have them do unto you. I mean, people,
it's true.
It's a matter of having empathy. And it's amazing. People who are passionate about cats and dogs and, certain kinds of it, somehow blank when it comes to fish.
Yeah.
Fish have no feelings. Fish don't feel pain. It's okay to do unto them unthinkable things if you put yourself or an animal that you do care about in their place.
Yeah.
So if you can just try to imagine that you are in their place and then think again. I don't know. I wish I had an answer to that because
that is a hard one.
It's baffling. It starts when you're young, I think, that people convince you that it's fun to kill things.
Well, and fish in particular, because in great part they're not as vocal as a land animal. If you're
not going to hear a shark screaming as you're reeling it in.
No. I mean, it's certainly going to thrash around and be unhappy, but they're not making
having a good time. No.
But they're not making a really audible noise of distress, and so
some fish do. I mean, croakers croak, grunts grunt.
Yeah.
Groupers.
Quite a few groupers. Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're noisy.
They let you know that this is not a way to behave. But on the other hand, we just need to think differently and be compassionate.
Yeah.
And share don't be afraid to convey that sense of caring.
Yeah.
If everybody says, oh yeah, it's okay, then nothing will ever change. But if you can be a conveyor of compassion.
Yeah. And especially in these areas where there's still some of these sort of shark contests going on.
Unbelievable.
I know
Rhode Island.
Yeah, we were talking about, we talked earlier this week about
Yeah.
stuff going on in Rhode Island. We've talked about like some of the, the very gentle little dogfish that are being targeted as being a
Yeah.
underutilized species.
Yeah, you have to love that term, underutilized species. Like,
horrible.
thanks, that's nice.
Yeah, and so it's
very demeaning to humans that we would even think of such things.
Yeah.
You're not very bright after all.
Exactly.
Well, and it's tough too, because I think there's a bit of a fallacy that catch and release is not harmful. People think, oh, well, I caught it and I let it go, so it's fine. It's like,
let it go.
You have to realize what it has to go through to be caught, though. Like, that's...
Well, it's exhausting.
In the situation where you're being hooked in your mouth and being yanked out of water, and getting weighed on a scale, weighed or measured, and throw you back into the water. It's not difficult to imagine the situation. You just close your eyes, imagine a hook in your mouth, pull you up, get out of water, and then throw you back in again. It's bad.
Well, I mean, like by Christina, in Bahamas, it's just big for sport fishing. So they accidentally catch sharks a lot, even if they're not going out there for it. And she's got more than one shark that's got a completely broken jaw. I mean, it's not just a hook through the mouth and it comes out. And then a lot of people leave them in and they just assume that they'll rust out because they're metal in salt water. It's like, well, it might, but it might take 2 years. Like,
and if it's stainless,
it's not reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we did the episode with Christina, she showed us all these hooks, that she's been able to remove from the
that box.
Yeah, a whole box full. It's just
crazy.
It's shocking.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Unbelievable. So.
Yeah. So we got a question.
Empathy, I guess, is the bottom line on that one.
So Talia is asking, this is a good one for Michael. What type of underwater camera asking both of you, what kind of camera do you recommend for photo identification and data gathering, and taking photographs of sharks in general?
I mean, for ID purpose nowadays, there's so many small little camera, especially that's relatively inexpensive, and will do the job for you. And
I mean, GoPros can do an amazing job for just ID.
GoPro maybe, but I think the TG5 you can buy.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. Yeah.
And you don't even need the housing for it. It's already waterproof to, I think from memory, it's waterproof to 10 meters.
Wow. Is it waterproof or water resistant? Because I recently found out that the iPhone 11
you don't need a housing for
proof.
It. And I think that the later version can even go up to 60 feet with it,
Oh, wow.
And it's probably
nice.
Proof. You don't need anything special. You take decent pictures for ID purpose. That is good enough, for ID,
And it's such and it's really an important part of what we're trying to get divers to do more of is to document what they're seeing out there on the reef, and then sharing those images like with Mission Blue, and so we can really get some sense of what's going on in these regions and get an idea. Are some of these species more migratory? Are they there all the time? Or can we really start to recognize them as individuals like they're doing with the whale sharks, and documenting the spot pattern on the whale sharks?
Right.
Are there other characteristics that with enough photographic information that we can start to recognize the individuals? And
every great white shark face is unique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you line them up, you'll see that the little pattern around the nose is unique. It's like a fingerprint, and it's not just the face. The whole body, the fins. I'm looking over there.
Exactly.
So. And then they develop, in addition to their natural markings, little tears in their dorsal fin, or sometimes little scars down their side that make it easier for humans to distinguish one from another. But they come naturally marked.
Yeah.
Then they just get embellished with additional
scars,
decorations.
Decorations over the years. That's good.
Yeah, I think it happens to all of us.
For sure.
A few lines here, a few lines there.
So,
love it.
Lisa's asking the question: why do sharks attack surfers and not divers?
Oh, that's an easy question, Sylvia. I think.
Yeah, we can all talk to that. Yeah, go ahead.
They don't attack either one all that often. But
I think it's more like a shark bite accident,
yeah,
Yeah.
fish bite accident.
the silhouette of a diver on a surfboard or surfer is thought to resemble the actual dinner for the big sharks, and rarely does a surfer experience more than a single bite. It's like an experiment. Are
Yeah.
you edible? You kind of, but I mean, there are occasions where people do die from shark
Yeah.
bites, but it's really rare compared, especially to how many sharks die from people bites.
Yeah, but the death, they died not because of the bite itself, it's because of the loss of blood thereafter. So,
Yep.
from beneath, a surfer on the surfboard resemble a seal or
And a seal in
the
trouble.
animal on the surface. So there's no way the shark can tell whether there's a seal or a person with arms, two a dorsal coming out from the side and the back, like a pair of flippers and fins. So he just comes up very quickly, take a bite on an arm or on arm. It usually is on the arm itself or the leg, and then say, "Oh, this is not good," and let it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it leaves a mark.
more likely, they say yuck.
Yeah.
Well, I can't imagine neoprene tastes very good. So yeah.
Yeah.
But
All
yeah,
bone,
I mean,
there's no fat.
I love that Gary Larson cartoon where two sharks are talking to one another, and one of them has skin diver's flippers sticking out of his mouth. And the other shark says, they taste better if you peel them first.
Oh.
These old wetsuits are.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Good one. Gary Larson's always a good go-to.
Always.
But yeah, shark statistics definitely, it's almost exclusively people that are bit on the surface. I think the breakdown, at least from 2010 that I remember, 51% of shark attacks were surfers. 38% of them were swimmers and waders. And the remaining 8% were snorkelers. And then I think a negligible few on like inflatable rafts. So it's pretty much all surface. So it shows you that it's all mistaken identity. This is not just sharks going around testing people out in the water. They're seeing something that looks familiar when they look up, try it, and then turns out it's not what they were looking for. So
I think it's
a mistake.
It's more than visual.
Mm-hmm.
We've any of us who've been in the water with sharks and fish. You keep wondering, well, all those fish, why doesn't the shark just reach out and bite them?
Mm-hmm.
But rarely do they go after a healthy fish.
Yeah,
sure.
Go after one that is acting wonky. It's
yeah.
Well, it's one of the reasons that divers who spearfishermen, are among those that have experienced problems with sharks, because they have injured fish that are making not only sounds that perhaps we don't hear, but a chemistry, but also the motion.
Mm-hmm.
And in the water, those irregular motions are like ringing the dinner bell.
Right.
And
definitely.
I think the unusual, out of sync with the other sounds or movements, that we're not all that graceful in the water compared to fish.
That's true. So we look kind of
that is true.
Like you might be in trouble. We're a little
flail around a bit.
Yeah, when you're swimming, even if you think you're really graceful, and certainly surfers are, from the standpoint of the creatures in the sea, we probably look really clumsy.
Yeah.
And sound clumsy.
Yeah.
And maybe
that's slapping on them. Yeah.
Like
slapping
something
around.
in trouble.
Yeah.
And the sharks are trying to put us out of our misery.
That's funny.
Stephanie is asking, do you use Chum to get the sharks to come to you, or is there another approach taken, or what is the best method?
Depends.
Well, I would say most shark pictures and photographers have some kind of a charm or attractions to bring the shark close, because we go to any location, even in many places where the sharks are there, it's very hard to bring the sharks in, to a camera close enough to photograph them.
Mm-hmm.
You need to bring them in, but you don't have to feed them. You just have to, attract them to come close and steer the curiosity to get the pictures.
Yeah.
Having said that, their location in the world, especially in Cuba, you don't have to. The sharks are there. It's a matter of what kind of pictures what kind of message you want to portray. You want it in a natural environment, like in Fakarawa. It's not allowed. That the biosphere would not let you bring any food in the water.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's very, you have to get them really close. In Fakarawa, we have to dive in the evening when they're naturally hunting in the evening to look for fish. So, but still, you have to position yourself in where they are hunting to get the pictures. But otherwise, it varies. But I would say 9 out of 10 pictures we see on social media, some kind of a chum is involved. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also like to make the differentiation between chumming and baiting. So there are a lot of places where baiting sharks is an all right thing to do, whereas chumming is no longer allowed. This is the case in Guadalupe. They used to do both chumming and baiting. The difference is the chum is more like a slurry of fish bits. So when you put it in the water, it's just everywhere. And it's like an oil slick on top of the water. So there's not really a way to control that. It's just everywhere. As opposed to when you're baiting an animal or a group of animals, it's much more targeted feeding. So baiting is allowed in a lot more places than chumming is now, because it seems that chumming can sometimes get them riled up because they don't necessarily know where the food is coming from. It would be like, showing up with the big appetite and there are bunches of tiny appetizers everywhere, as opposed to the big dinner that you were promised. Like,
right?
why is this happening? Why is there little food everywhere? So it can be a bit overwhelming for their senses. If there's just scent of food everywhere. So
you're just kind of like hunting around trying to see where's
exactly. And they get a little mouthier then because they're more riled up about it. So there's that.
Emphasize that the operator that you go with matters a lot, and they have to have deep respect for the animal. Respect is the key word here, that you have to respect for this animal. They're natural in the environment, and how much control you must be able to control the situations.
Yes.
And not just for pictures. It's not worth it to put the animals in danger, the divers in danger in the environment. So respect for both the sharks and for yourself and for the people around you is very important.
The other reliable way to have encounters with sharks is to go where they're naturally feeding. For example, if you see, but you can't really plan this, you just have to kind of be there, a bait ball.
Oh yeah.
In the ocean where birds are feeding on small fish. If birds are feeding on that you can see from the surface, what's happening underwater is likely to be an extravagant bonanza, a buffet with birds coming down, dolphins and big fish and medium-sized fish and sharks, just everybody answering to the dinner bell.
Yeah.
The only one not having a good time are the little fish.
That's right.
You do feel badly for them when you see the bait ball. You're like, oh, that's a rough day.
Same as if you want to dive with mantas, to go where the plankton is rich, or in Cocos, to see the hammerheads, there's a place that you can go where the cleaners are perched. And the sharks deliberately come by and get their gills cleaned. Yeah. So if knowing what they care about, it's mostly food, but there are other things that attract them to reliable stations where if you understand that and if you're respectful, you can go be a part of the action without becoming part of it yourself.
Or get in a submersible and spend several hours underwater.
Oh,
That's the
yeah.
best. Absolutely.
We're going to do that.
Yes,
we
indeed.
definitely
That's the way to go. Oh, yeah, I'm all over
So
it.
we've got time for just one more question.
Oh, dear me.
I know it's gotten.
I know it goes fast.
But Anthony is asking. He says he's a terrestrial photography, but he has his dive certification.
Yes.
But what is the best advice we can offer for how to get started in underwater photography?
Just get under there. Just start. Jump in feet first.
You have to be in it to win. So you have to be underwater first to start with, and you have to have spent enough time underwater that you're comfortable in that environment. That where breathing underwater becomes second nature to you before you try with a camera, because you need to be able to manage yourself first before managing the camera. So I would say a good number to start with, you should have at least say 50 hours underwater before you try to shoot with a camera.
Definitely.
And then especially working with sharks, again, you need a bit of experience with it. So has enough time underwater. And as with sharks, I would say go with an experienced operator. Ask around which photographers or who they go with, and which location to go to. You have to increase your odds, your chances. It's not just luck. You just have to play with luck and get more luck out into it. You have to buy luck.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say too, as someone, I also started land-based and then started diving and got into underwater photography. Lighting is a completely different beast from topside to underwater, and it is sort of like relearning how to use parts of your camera. So it's a bit of a learning curve, and don't get discouraged when you start, because you're probably going to come back with some really junky images when you first start. And that is normal and expected, and don't be discouraged. It gets better every single time you go underwater. So yeah, just keep
the lighting and how you position your lights, strobe or otherwise, and to learn the fine art of great photography without taking lights.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is hard if you love those colorful images, because it's all blue if you get below 10 feet or so.
Right.
For sure. And it's definitely about balancing and having the right combination of natural versus artificial light, because sometimes you just want that little pop of color, but there's still nothing prettier than sunbeams coming down. So you want to be able to incorporate both, and that takes a bit of finesse. And you cannot underestimate the importance of time of day when diving. Morning and late afternoon, like your pre 10 a.m. and post 3 p.m., that's when you want to be in the water. When you get those amazing light rays and you think, I can't do that at noon. You're right. You literally can't do that at noon. So it's just about being in the water at the right time with the right animals.
I think the patience factor, and also really, really working on your personal buoyancy control,
big time,
is a huge part of it as well. Because when you can be very nice and graceful and content in the water, and then you start taking that big deep hit, and you're
no hand swimming, you can't do it.
Or you get a little bit of current, and so it does take that sort of patience and persistence, and you'll eventually get it. And even if you get shots that aren't great to begin with, they still can be very valuable to scientists that are trying to understand what's going on, documentation, what's going on in an area. So I think it's great the more people that give it a shot, literally, try to get these images and share them with the scientific community, because it could be helpful.
Both of you are just exceptional at getting these little guys.
We love macro.
Yeah, it takes a different approach and a lot.
Even though you can't tell from our backgrounds.
Yeah, it's between the teeth.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's infinitely challenging and rewarding to go for it. Thank you for
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. It was so nice to see you, Sylvia and Liz. Thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate your time, and I want to say thank you to everyone who joins us and keeps coming back to these they've almost become weekly now episodes.
Life on Zoom now.
Yeah, right? And deepest thanks to our producers at Ocean Elders and Medley Media, and to everyone out there in the community that keeps participating. We'd love for people to keep coming back to us, give us more ideas and suggestions of what you'd like to converse about in the ocean.
We're going to do a Blackwater.
Yes, we absolutely have to do
We
Blackwater.
should definitely do a Blackwater one.
Yeah,
That'd
We
be fun.
will.
And we
must.
appreciate you. We appreciate everyone, and please come help make us keep diving in.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
We're going to be back next week with the women of MISS, the minorities in shark science. It's a great team of
Cool.
women that are really breaking boundaries of all kinds, and we're really excited to have them.
Don't miss it.
Don't miss it, exactly. And this episode, along with all the past episodes, are available on YouTube. And remember,
Take care of the ocean
as if our lives depend on it.
because
They do.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye. Cheers.
let's
Bye.
talk.
Yes.
All right.